What's up, people? In this video we are going to talk about not this guy, although he's pretty cool. I do like him. We are actually going to talk about the Game Changers. It's basically like a new vegan documentary, except they're not calling it vegan, they're calling it plant-based. So I guess the difference between plant-based and vegan is that vegan is like an ethical thing and plant-based is not. I'm not really sure why they decided to do this, if it's like for branding or like whatever it is, but let's look at thegamechangers.com and then we will watch this, the Game Changers movie maybe, and then we will watch this preview, and yeah, because I want to kind of point out how corporate and how manipulative this is, which I understand it. It's marketing. They're trying to everybody's got an agenda, of course, but here we go. A revolutionary new documentary about meat, protein, and strength. We've got James Cameron, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan, and I don't know who these three people are, and this guy who's somebody interesting, apparently. Okay, so basically the premise of this is that they are showing a bunch of examples of elite athletes who have switched to a plant-based diet and claim that they have improved athletic performance. Okay, so I'm willing to give things the benefit of the doubt. However, just based on my own personal experience, that is not the case. Like if I don't eat meat or animal products, I feel like shit, and I definitely don't improve better in an athletic level, although I'm not sure if they're including eggs inside this plant-based diet. Like, is a plant-based diet just not meat, or does it have eggs? Okay, not really sure, and they don't really say here, but anyway, let's watch the trailer and talk about it a little bit.
One and only Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I ate a lot of meat.
All right, so okay, Arnold, known for eating a lot of meat during his bodybuilding career, so it's kind of ironic that they're using him as an example, like why, okay, I get it, he does a plant-based diet now, but he looks like shit now. Like, okay, fine, he's like 80 years old, but on the one hand, like, he was doing a bunch of steroids when he was a bodybuilder as well, so I mean, and to be fair, I think he did say he does have a lot of important advice about fitness. Like, he does know his stuff, but he's gonna say, like, I got to where I was by eating meat, but you guys shouldn't eat meat because we don't need it. So a little hypocritical there.
They showed us commercials
Steak. That's what a man eats.
selling that idea that real men eat meat.
Serious man food.
But you got to understand, that's marketing.
Yeah, that is marketing, but so is this. This is also marketing. Like, what do you expect? Corporations, they sell food that's meat to do meat-based marketing. I guess you could say the companies that sell, like, whatever vegan food, burgers, they do marketing like this. This is also marketing. This is not like some altruistic movie that people are making just because they love plants so much. Like, this is marketing. Everybody who's doing this is getting paid. Like, look at the production value. This guy doesn't do shit for no reason.
That's not based on reality.
Debatable.
I've been teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then I got injured, unable to teach for at least 6 months. I spent more than 1,000 hours studying science on recovery and...
Okay, so one thing that you'll notice in this video is that they point to a lot of, like, there's a lot of pandering in this video, right? First of all, they're using Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is like, you can just kind of tell that, like, the people who decided to create this movie, they sat around in a boardroom and they're like, okay, like, how can we make this as convincing as possible? I know, let's get Arnold Schwarzenegger to be in it, right? Everybody loves Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's like the real man, the bodybuilding guy, like, everybody looks up to him. All these fitness bros, they love Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is true. Like, how can you not? The guy's arguably like one of the most, if not the most aesthetic human being to have ever lived, right? And then they're like, okay, and then next we're going to switch to a scene about this guy who trains hand-to-hand combat for, like, Navy SEALs or SAS or, like, whatever this guy does, right? So a lot of pandering here. Now, putting that aside, people who like what this guy is doing, he's training techniques. Okay, he's not training. Like it doesn't require a lot of athletic ability to practice a technique, if that makes sense. Obviously, if you're stronger, you'll be able to train harder and move faster and stuff like that. But to move out of the way to dodge, somebody stabbing you or like whatever you want to do, does not. It's not like. It doesn't require a high level of athletic performance.
Nutrition, and stumbled across a study about the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators were predominantly vegetarian.
How could the original professional fighters be so powerful?
Whoa, okay, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back and see this original professional fighter. Yeah, doesn't exactly look like peak physical condition, okay? So, obviously this is art. This is not like an actual photograph of this guy. But gladiators are not like endurance athletes, right? They survived based on their skill, not as a result of like being in the best shape. So, okay, the guy found a study that said gladiators were vegetarians or mostly vegetarian. I'm pretty sure it's because they were fighting against their will, or most of them were at least, and probably couldn't afford meat because I don't think these guys really like lived a lavish lifestyle. So, okay, like you found a study that said gladiators were vegetarians. That's great. Does that mean being a vegetarian is better? I don't think so, but anyway, let's go on. Sorry I'm stopping it so much, but this is only like a 2.5 minute video and they hit you with a lot of stuff here, so I have to kind of like address everything as it comes up.
Be so powerful, eating only plants.
When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, I qualified for my 3rd Olympic team. I broke 2 American records. I was like, man, I should have done this a long while ago.
Okay, so anytime you're looking at professional athletes, especially like essentially at the highest level, you have to kind of assume that they're also taking steroids, right? These guys are not, like it's just not possible to be competitive at that level without using the drugs, okay? Everybody does it. Like just the fact that they don't get caught does not mean that there are not ways to beat the tests. So you see this a lot with like vegan bodybuilders, how people will point to vegan bodybuilders and they'll say like, look at these vegans, they don't look malnourished, like veganism is healthy, look how big you can get as a vegan. Yeah, they're on steroids, no shit. Like you can eat McDonald's and get big on steroids. Like it's not, and I get it, of course you have other athletes who are not vegan who use steroids and get big. That doesn't mean that eating meat will get you big, right? A lot of it has to do with the steroids. So that's kind of the main problem with this documentary overall, is that like you're pointing to essentially the highest level of athletes who are all pretty much on something and saying like, look at these guys, they're vegan and they're super fit. And it's very transparent. It's obvious they're trying to appeal to athletes or really like gym bros, casual gym bros. I don't expect it to really like have that much of an effect, because what you'll notice, and this is kind of a side tangent here, but what you'll notice this a lot with like politicians, specifically like liberal politicians, although this does happen to conservatives as well. Like if you remember when McCain was running for president, when they announced the vice presidential candidate for McCain, they announced Sarah Palin, and everyone was like, who the fuck is Sarah Palin? Like what? Like who's this like nobody that nobody's ever heard of? Why did they pick Sarah Palin? Because they're trying to appeal to female voters, right? They're trying to appeal to they're sitting around in a room, a boardroom basically, thinking like, okay, who can we pick that's going to have the best chance of success? So they pick Sarah Palin, who's like governor of Alaska. Like, okay, she's a governor, she's a woman, she's kind of hot, and like we're trying to appeal to women. So like it'll be the first woman president or first woman vice president. Great, guys. Okay, let's do it. Kind of the same thing with like the Democrats, right? Again, not to get political, I don't want this to turn into like a political video, but you saw kind of something similar happen with Hillary Clinton, right? All the stuff like, I'm with her, like really playing up the fact that she's a woman. It's a lot of pandering, and you're kind of just playing on people's natural distaste of thinking, I would say, and just kind of accepting messages at face value without really questioning them. Okay, let's go.
When I went plant-based, I wasn't sure if I was going to survive. And I actually became like a machine.
All right, I don't know who that is. But again, like the same kind of issue here is that when you're examining professional athletes, like you have to kind of assume that the whole plant-based diet thing, like it's not just the plants. Now, I will say one thing, okay? It is possible, and I don't expect them to address this in the movie. It is entirely possible that a plant-based diet is better for you if you are on steroids, right? It is possible that if you take steroids, that a plant-based diet is better, okay? Because the steroids will kind of make up for what you're missing by not eating any meat, if that makes sense. Like the increase in testosterone and all the other beneficial hormones that are essentially artificial, it is possible that, I don't really know, this is total bro science right here, but they'll able to like circulate in your body better or something, and they will kind of replace the positive effects of the meat. I don't know, don't quote me on that. This is just kind of a hypothesis that I have, because you do see, I mean, you can't argue with the fact that a lot of these guys, they have broken records. Again, I haven't checked the specifics, right? But a lot of them seem to be winning races and breaking records. So it could be the fact that like, you know, the steroids are somehow making up for the meat, like the steroids plus the plant combination is somehow doing something better. I'm not sure. And it also could be, one other thing is that it could be the increased discipline of not actually eating meat and being more careful with what you do eat and putting more time and energy and essentially discipline into thinking about what you're going to eat has a kind of peripheral positive effect on performance overall. Because there is a connection with the level of discipline that you apply to certain areas of your life and your overall level of success. I encourage you to look up Roy Baumeister. He's made, he's done a lot of studies on this.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein to perform at a high level. That's just not true.
Are you going to take advice from a guy that looks like this? It could be possible that he knows what he's talking about, but this right here tells me everything I need to know. Again, does that mean I'm going to take advice from like some roided out bodybuilder who doesn't have a double chin? Probably not, but, and that's just that. Okay, let's back this up for a second.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein to perform at a high level. That's just...
Actually, that's not the, that's kind of low level thinking, right? Once you get a little bit more sophisticated in terms of nutrition, you realize that it's not the animal protein that is the make or break factor. Okay, it's what's contained within the animal protein, right? All the enzymes, all the amino acids, and like just the bioavailable vitamins and stuff like that, right? Which is, you know, and I guess theoretically it is possible to have, you know, to satisfy those requirements by taking synthetic concentrations of those things. I do seem to recall that they're not absorbed into the body quite as well. However, I guess it is theoretically possible that you could prepare enough pills and supplements and stuff like that to give you everything that eating meat, specifically raw meat, gives you, not just in terms of animal protein, right? This is a misconception. It's not the animal protein. It's not like, oh, well, I got my protein from a burger versus getting it from protein powder made from peas or whatever. Therefore, the type of protein is better. It really has to do with the vitamins and the amino acid profile and minerals, I guess, if there's any of those.
It's not true.
Sometimes you have to do things that you know your competitors aren't doing.
Today's blood and yesterday's blood. Yeah.
All right, I'm not really sure about today's blood versus yesterday's blood. Can't really comment on that. But I got no answer for that. I need to, I guess, take a little bit of a better look into that. But one thing that I will say is that when you see like you hear this a lot actually from the vegan community, which is that when they prepare an argument for why veganism is better or plant-based diets or whatever, they'll be like, well, there's this study that says this and there's this study that says that, but they lack the like real world expertise as far as like the real world examples that show that these vegans are healthier. Which actually, now that I think about it, I feel like this video or this movie is kind of a reaction to that. Like this is the next level in the argument where they're saying, well, actually look at all these professional athletes who are performing at a high level. It's not, it's not like vegans or plant-based people are not only like, malnourished tree huggers.
I think this is going to wake a lot of people up.
I don't think so, because at the end of the day, like, there's just some, and it's possible, like, it's possible that people will just, that they'll buy into this, but there's so much pandering here. Like, am I crazy that I see this? Am I, like, putting on my tinfoil hat here? I don't think so. And at the end of the day, really, like, think about who exercises. Like, who are the type of people, who's the type of person that really works out hard and cares about their body and is concerned with how much protein they have? They're generally the same type of people that believe that they control their own destiny and they control what they have or don't have in their life. Who also coincidentally happen to be more right of center, if that makes sense. People who, like, I think I saw a study once that said people who spend more time in the gym are more likely to be on the more conservative side of the spectrum, which, obviously it's not an absolute, but when you understand that there's a direct relationship between how hard you work in the gym and what your body looks like, you kind of take one more step towards believing that your life is in your own hands. You stop relying on other people to do things for you. And at the end of the day, like, I think that the whole plant-based thing, it's kind of just like, it's just kind of, I don't want to say gay, but like, it's just not as manly. I don't know. Am I brainwashed by commercials? It's possible.
Recovering better, not getting as sore. This was our best season in the last 15 years, and we had 14 guys on plant-based diets.
14 guys on plant-based diets. How many of them on steroids? A lot, probably. Now, is that to say, like, I haven't checked the record of the Tennessee Titans, so I'm not sure. I guess we could check that now. This is Tennessee Titans 2018. Record 2018. I don't really follow football. Let's see how they did. Titans 9-7. 9-7. What is it? 2019? We haven't had the football season yet. Okay, so Tennessee Titans went 9-7 last year. That is pretty bad. Like, I guess good enough to make the playoffs, maybe? I don't know. That's pretty bad. That's really bad. So you're bragging about that? Like, good for you and your plant-based diet. Like, you got yourself some airtime. But no bueno.
We all want to feel great, have more energy.
Cholesterol was 276. Today, 169.
Whoa, now you're talking.
Again, using science, or I guess hiding behind science and numbers to kind of prove a point, when I guess like what really matters is actual real world experience. This next one is interesting.
Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
All right, this guy's jacked for sure. Like, this old black dude, like, definitely, like, I would love to have his body. But a guy this age who's not on testosterone replacement therapy that looks like this, I'm gonna say, again, it falls into the category of achievable without steroids. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure it's possible. Like, in my experience, whatever, maybe you think this is racist, but in my experience, black people, at least in America, have an easier time putting on muscle and having an aesthetic body type and having better athletic performance as well. I don't know. Is that racist? I don't think so. But this guy for sure looks to be like 60s, 70s. If he's not on testosterone replacement therapy, I don't know. I'll give you whatever you want.
Grandchildren can't keep up with me.
Steroids, okay? Steroids. And again, like I said before, it's fine I don't have any problem with that. That's fine. Like, you want to do steroids, that's your choice. It's essentially a victimless crime. Like, go ahead, do your thing, you know? They're not that bad. But like, to point to this and say, this is plant-based, this is because he's plant-based, I think that's misleading.
It's not one set of dietary guidelines for improving your performance as an athlete, another one for reversing heart disease, reversing diabetes. It's the same for all of them.
Okay, so I guess what they're trying to say is that, you know, plant-based is just better overall. Yeah, all right, let's see what this, because I want to talk about this guy.
Someone asked me, how could you get as strong as an ox without eating any meat? And my answer was, have you ever seen an ox?
I want to know how he gets, well, okay, for sure this guy is yoked, no doubt, like very strong. I don't know who this guy is, like apparently he's like some famous bodybuilder or power lifter. But again, to imply that it is possible to do this naturally without the help of steroids is like, and on a plant-based diet. I don't know, maybe there's some plants out there that like these guys are eating that I don't know about that give you like magical source of incredible energy. But I don't, you know, I've never had those before. And again, I'm totally willing to be proven wrong. Like, somebody give me a plant-based diet to follow, I'll try it. Like, I'm not like, you know, if it works better, I have no problem doing it. You know, I don't need to eat meat. Like, if I feel better on plants and I perform better on plants, okay, I'll eat fucking plants. Like, I don't give a shit, but I don't. That's the point.
Eating meat.
All right, so anyway, overall, let's sum it up. This looks like there's definitely an agenda here. Like, I read a quote about advertising a while ago that said something like, if something needs to be advertised, that's because it's like low quality or something like that. Or like, good things don't need advertisements, something like that. Like, there's no advertising for a meat-based diet. Like, everybody knows, you know, meat just like makes you feel better. You feel good when you eat that bite of meat. So I don't know like what the agenda is here. I'm not sure who is paying for this, because like James Cameron is not cheap. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not cheap. I don't know, is this like a documentary? I'm not really sure. But production value looks very high. So somebody is spending money on this for some reason. So definitely a little bit of an agenda here. You guys obviously are welcome to make your own decisions, but I think, I don't know, I guess like on the one hand I feel kind of sad that there's probably a bunch of people who are going to be kind of fooled by this, but on the other hand, what it's going to do is it's going to like lower the bar even further and make people actually think that it's possible to you know, achieve these results on a plant-based diet without steroids, which means I'm going to have an easier time looking and performing better than people by comparison. But at the end of the day, I don't really think this will have much of an effect on the public consciousness. The one thing that I would, I guess, worry about is that if it affects government regulations about meat, but I also don't see that happening anytime in the near future. Cool? So let me know what you think about that video. If you guys want me to review any other videos or other stuff, let me know, hit me in a comment, and yeah, peace.